Goodwood Breakfast Club. What is Goodwood Breakfast Club? Just briefly, it's a used car enthusiast event where when in every several Sundays, or every quarter or every half of the year, the Goodwood organizes breakfast club, so where you can come, get some breakfast, have a look on old cars, and enjoy your day pretty much. But what I want to talk about today is not as much about breakfast, but as you can see behind me, let me switch the cameras. There's so many used cars, and today I just simply want to talk how to buy a good used classic vehicle, what you should be aware of, and then how to pinpoint where you are, your budget, what you actually want to buy, and would your budget and expectations would actually make a right decision for you at the end of it, and how actually we can assist you with your purchase. Regards to classic cars, you know, all of them look nice as you will walk by. Most of the classic cars in general, they are DIY renovated. Most of them would not have any service history, no heritage, only a V5C and a registered keeper. First of all, you need to understand, buying a used classic vehicle is completely different from buying a used vehicle which you would use it every day. So what you need to understand, first of all, the classic cars will break down. You will spend an awful lot of money, right? So first of all, to get on the right model, make and model, you would need to understand what you actually want, what condition you want, what is your budget, and what you're planning to do with this vehicle. And based on that, you can start really looking. So most of the thing is your budget. Why budget? Is because if you will look on a cheaper cars, there will be so many issues. There will be corrosions, there will be untidy wiring, there will be poor gearbox, clutch, transmission, poor suspension, and everything else. To understand where you want to be is pretty much let's make this explanation simple and not to be too complicated. Is let's divide them in 3 categories. Number 1, I will put all the DIY renovations, bangers, in category 1. In number 2, you have some average vehicles in average condition, which you could actually use for everyday usage, right? In a good, reasonable, everyday used condition. And let's get number 3, where you can have pristine vehicles and in a pristine condition. Obviously, it could vary, but let's just simplify it as a fact. So first of all, you want to understand how much you want to spend, right? So that means if you buy category number 1, where are bangers and DIYs, right? So you need to understand you will spend a lot of money on this category vehicles. So most simplest way to explain it is, if you buy number 1, right, but yes, you will spend like minimum 10 grand on a used vehicle, right? For £5,000, there's nothing much you can do. You can do a respray, some tidying up some bits and bobs, like brake lines, maybe some clutch, maybe a bit of wiring. There's nothing much left on interior, right? So what I'm trying to say, and then you got the number 2, which is reasonable condition. Can be used for everyday purposes. To understand is now, how to simplify it, is you can see some nice cars behind me. Relatively talking, and making some wise decisions would be buying a banger to get as cheap that vehicle as possible and invest money in renovation. That would be most sensible thing, because category number 2 will be done to up to certain standard, but it will never be perfect. So let's say it's been resprayed, renovated. That, like I said, number 2 would be DIY standard. The bangers and a DIY something. But number 2 category would be your DIYs and everyday, mostly enthusiast sort of level work, mostly completely. There was some exceptions, right? So what I'm saying, if you then buying number 2 would be if you're buying number 2 and not knowing what you're buying, you need help to understand if that vehicle is sort of as described there. Here we coming into play. But before you're making a decision, wandering around what you're going to buy and what you're willing to spend, is if you buy number 2, like I said, that means that vehicle will be done up to some sort of standard. But again, price, right? If the price is, let's say the banger is £5,000 and something down to some reasonable standard every day would be, let's say, 15 or 12,000 pounds, right? So that means if you're buying this vehicle on assumption, oh, you're getting better value, right? And technically all the issues are still there because the just visual looks are improved, but nothing much underside, engine, transmission, and underside what I mean suspension, right? So that means you again have to invest money. And if the bodywork is not up to your standard, once you bought it because it looked nice, right? And then once you take it home, start washing it, you'll start all naggy issues, mostly around bonnet corners, door shut areas, which are not done to the perfect standard. You're not gonna like it. So then you will decide, okay, you're gonna spend some money on it. But what I said, the number 2 is already people spend some money. They are up to some certain standard. They're not perfect. And again, if you buy it as some sort of investment, right, it's unwise decision because it's already done. Somebody already spent some sort of money, and now you're gonna go and rewrite it, redo it again. So that means the decision what you just done buying something everyday usage flawed, because that car is already, let's say, 12,000-15,000, right? And now you're gonna spend 10 grand on it. That's already, it gets your budget and vehicle, how much the vehicle will cost you to 25 grand. Yeah? But if you buying something already right at the beginning, understanding, okay, I don't really care too much about bodywork. You want a half decent vehicle, and then you're gonna spend the money the way the bodywork needs to look in your standard. Then you can find a good renovation place, which is a key in this, because there's so many cowboys, right? They will charge you shit money for it. You think you'll pay less, so for you it might look, oh, it's a lot of money, but for, let's say, 5 grand, there's nothing you can do. There's nothing much you can do. What you can do, probably you can get a half decent respray. That's it. That's where your budget simply runs out. So make a right decision right at the beginning. Remember, buying a used car used classic car will cost you a lot of money. So you need to buy, but you need to decide, I'm gonna buy a banger cheap, and then I'm gonna spend about 20 grand on this vehicle and get it right the way I want it. That would be most sensible. My advice when buying a classic vehicle, if you're planning to do some work on it the way you want it, then find the cheapest one possible where there's not much welding needed on a bodywork, right? Where engine is half decent, but where there's not much improvements done by the previous keeper, owner, or whoever, right? The engine is running, the gearbox is working, everything in working condition, right? But if you're planning to fully restore it, full renovation means you do the engine, you do the gearbox, you do the diff, you do the suspension, you do the wiring, you retrim the interior, and you redo the bodywork to as much possible original look, right? That's where you'll get the most value at the end of it out, when everything is as original. That would be most sensible thing to do. But if you're just an enthusiast and you want to drive around, come to shows like that, sit around, get your car, let people have a look at them. Then what you want to do, and when you don't want to spend too much on renovation and you don't want to go in and out of the garages, that means category number 2, you want to find the best vehicle with the best heritage, with the best service history possible, to find out who renovated this vehicle, have a look the reputation of the renovators, so it comes with some sort of heritage where you can see the repair works has been done to the good quality standard, not to the bodged up DIY standard where somebody at a garage spent his own money to get it up to some sort of scratch, and then you buy it and it's not up to your standard, right? So you need to find out the vehicle who has been done to the good standard, bodywork has been resprayed to the good standard, not just to the visually looking good. You know, that's how you will get to some sort of wide decision where you're not gonna waste your money and then spending everything again, going through the bodywork, going through everything else. Well, already that person done because he spent the money. Vehicle price is already much higher than something which would be, I don't know, like that one, a banger, right? So just simply make a wise decision, because with the classic cars you can just simply run like a drain, like a toilet drain. You can just throw all your money in somewhere which you would never make your money back. Again, third thing, don't just look on a classic car purchasing as an investment. You know, all the cheap ones you will never get too much as an investment. If you wanna something already renovated, super classic, it's a completely different league, you know, and different level of the valuation of the vehicle, or whichever vehicle you're gonna purchase. Obviously, you got cheap classic cars with a range between 10 and 20, you know, and then from 20 to 50, and then from 50 to 100, and then from 100 to 300, and from 300 to half a mil or millions. Obviously, it will be, again, depends for what purpose you're buying. Are you a collector? Are you a just simple enthusiast who wants to come around some car meets and enjoy your time? You know, but the main thing is, of all of this, money concern. It doesn't matter. The person buys the vehicle for half a million. For him, that vehicle will still cost a lot of money. Depends who has done the renovation and to what standard the vehicle is, and to what standard the vehicle has been renovated. Don't get mixed up renovation when somebody says it's been renovated. Most of them bodywork just been renovated to some standard, right? But again, if you want to make a wise decision and not throw your money in the drain, start to understand where you are, what you want, what you can afford, and if you can't afford something half decent, category number 2 what I discussed, where you will only be able to find out after the vehicle is inspected, right? But you can obviously, before spending money on inspection, you can recheck the service histories, heritage, who's done it, ask the seller who done the work, let them provide you information, find them on Google, research their reputation, just do all the runaround yourself to before you even go to look at the vehicle, because you'll see the pictures, everything on the pictures, even old and a bit of polish, you know, it will look good. But once you will take home, and probably will have some MOT on it, and once you will get to the first MOT, you know, you will be disappointed. So, like I said, I'll keep repeating myself. Understand where you are, what you want, what quality you want, how much hassle do you want, how much free time do you have, because these vehicles will have problems, you know, and then make a decision how much you value your life, how much problems in life you want, and then start looking on what's on the market, what you can get for that money, what condition you could have for that money, how much money you are willing to spend on it, you know, balance out the vehicle's price, balance out the banger's price, and then compare if you're gonna buy the banger, investing that sort of money, where that, let's say, a bit of valuation, where to make sense of buying the banger or buying something already in a category 2, which could be used for everyday usage, you know, and where that will leave you. If you're buying a banger, investing 10 grand you can do something, but again, not much, right? But at least you will know where you are. So I hope that really makes sense of my long-winded video. But with the classic cars, you can talk all day. Again, when you deciding, let's say you purchase something and haven't used the inspection service, obviously, which you really need to do to understand, is that vehicle as described, right? So what does it mean, and how and when and how we coming into the place? We will go out. We have 4 packages: budget, basic, standard, and premium. Standard is the most popular. Inspection starts off £200. For classic cars, we recommend double it up, because it takes 4 hours to inspect a classic car to your consumer standard you would want probably to see. But a quick run through would be standard inspection, 2 hours, and you can understand if that vehicle is as described, how much money you will need to invest, potential repair costs, how the vehicle drives, how it behaves on the road, the brakes, the handling, the transmission operation, clutch or automatic gearbox, does the vehicle overheat, is the fan working, is the thermostat opening. All that information, when you're going to buy the car, you most likely you will not going to do it, you will not understand it, and once somebody, an expert, drives the vehicle, will start telling you the vehicle wobbles, it doesn't stick to the road properly, it pulls to the left, it pulls to the right, the brakes is vibrating under braking, etc., etc. So that's where the CarExamer comes into place. We can find you a qualified expert to check the vehicle to make sure you're getting the best value for the best value from the deal. And how the inspection will help you, basically will give you the potential repair costs, at least a benchmark, because it's hard to understand to what level you're planning, what is your desired level, desired standard, where you want to get this vehicle up to, how much money you are willing to spend buying this vehicle. But what it will give you, if you put that in the notes, then obviously somebody will understand my budget is this, that's how much I'm planning to spend on this vehicle, etc., etc. And then obviously inspector can understand sort of more your desires. So as you will have potential repair costs, then at least you can make an offer to the used car seller, right? Obviously, report is opinion of the qualified mechanic, technician. you know, and obviously seller don't have to agree with that, but our job here is so you can get a fair understanding of vehicle's condition and approximately how much money you will need to spend, you know. Technically retrim the interior 10 grand, respray the vehicle 10 grand. I'm talking about to the good standard where you are satisfied, and then there will be no rusts coming out every year, and every year you have to just retouch things and respray things, you know. Again, think about where you're going to store this vehicle and look for storages, etc. You want to keep it dry, in a dry condition, so it doesn't stay outside and doesn't keep deteriorating away, you know. Again, for the engine gearbox, again you're looking about 10 grand. That obviously, I'm just hypothetically talking, the car could cost 1 million or 500,000 pounds, and obviously the engine repair will not cost 10 grand, you know. So don't just take my word for it. I'm just generalizing on a costs, how much it could cost. Every renovation will be based on, again, A, B, C, 1, 2, 3, to what level you want to renovate. If there will be one price, and then if you want a better renovation, there will be level 2, again, standards to what level you want to get this vehicle, how much is your budget, and based obviously on maybe on vehicle's valuation, would that make sense, you know. Sometimes if you love the vehicle, it doesn't matter what's the value of the vehicle, you do it for yourself because you love it and you will keep it for a long time, you know. So don't get caught away, oh, the vehicle is, if I'm going to spend that money I will never get the money back. But remember, you're buying it because you want to enjoy it. You don't buy it because an investment. If you want specifically buying for investment, then buy the biggest bangers possible and spend money based on what is those type of vehicle market values already in the market, and look what is the pristine vehicles approximate valuation. Just go through the several classic car sites. The valuation is simple, you know. Your main thing, you need to know how much the car was original, when it came out brand new, what was the vehicle's brand new price, you know. And then I obviously have a look on, like I said, on all classic car sites, on a vehicle in a pristine condition. When you for the investment, buying the cheapest bang as possible, and then you will renovate it to the standard and see how much that renovation cost will be. Call renovation people, tell them I want engine, transmission, bodywork, wiring, everything done to pristine or not as pristine condition, you know. I'm talking about finishing, detailing, the trimming, you know, everything, and they will give you the right price before you even commit to the vehicle. This is what you need to do, otherwise you're just sitting on something like that and it's just gonna blow up, and it's gonna blow up your wallet and it's gonna hurt. So I hope it did make sense on this long-winded video, but with classic cars, like I said, you need to understand where you are, what you want, and where you want to take this vehicle up to, your desires and plans, you know. And if you want a just simple Sunday vehicle, then look for category number 2. It's the best heritage, it's the best service history from the seller who has invested good money, but he has selected professional companies or persons who are specialists in renovation, and the vehicle is at least done to the very good standard, not just like quick DIY respray where they cut corners because the person only had that much money and they only did that work to that sort of standard because he didn't have more money to do it, you know. So this is what you want to avoid. For everyday users, like I said, find the best deal out there, find the best seller, find out the heritage, the service history, who done the work, to what standard, less as possible users, original as possible, avoid some sort of modifications, etc. Unless you mod fun and you're buying a hot rod or something like that, that's a completely different ball game. Depends, again, what are your needs, and we're here to help. We can help you to make sense what you're buying, what condition that vehicle is, Make sure you write down your in notes your desires, etc. Where you're planning to take this vehicle, the cost of the vehicle. We'll get an expert. He's going to road test the vehicle, go underside the vehicle, and see if that vehicle is as described, so you can finally put a dot on your purchase. But don't jump on inspection. Do your work, what you need, what you want, where you want to take this vehicle, and what you can do with it. Balance the probabilities on buying a banger, investing, renovating to your standard, or buying something good to good renovated condition for everyday used. And if that's where you want to be, then do this. If you want a pristine vehicle, then obviously look for the renovators who has very high reputation, who did this vehicle. The vehicle is as originally renovated to the possible original detail standards as vehicle came out from the factory originally. So I hope that makes sense. If you like what we do, it's CarExamer.com. We do use car inspections. We'll get the right expert for you, and I hope it makes sense. And have a good breakfast.